Hello, and thanks for joining us to learn about FDA medical device databases. My name is Ben Berman, and I'm a medical device regulatory specialist in the NIH Small Business Education and Entrepreneurial Development Office. Today we'll be taking a look at how to use device data made available by FDA to better understand the de novo process. Reviewing decision summaries from existing de novo devices can help you gauge expectations for your own application. But before we get into the database, let's have a quick review on what a de novo is. There are three main regulatory pathways at CDRH. For first-of-their-kind products, the default path is PMA, which typically has the longest timeline. However, the de novo path is open to novel devices for which the risks can adequately be managed. When you submit a de novo application, the FDA will be evaluating whether probable benefits outweigh probable risks, and whether regulatory controls are able to provide reasonable assurance of safety and efficacy. Regulatory controls include both general controls, which are widely applicable to most medical devices, and special controls, which are specific to this new first-of-its-kind device. We'll see some examples of these in the database. Remember, to seek a de novo, you should be certain that existing devices have different intended uses or technical characteristics. Otherwise, you may be able to identify a predicate device and leverage the 510(k) pathway instead. Lastly, note that after your de novo is granted, any company, including your own, making a similar device can use the finalized de novo device as a predicate for their future 510(k)s. As we go through the database, let's keep this example device in mind, which comes from a more detailed regulatory case study available from NIHC's website. The device uses a non-invasive nerve stimulator plus a camera system to monitor a patient for tremors or stroke. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the database and find some recently granted de novos in the neurological health space. This is the medical device database landing page. Let's scroll to find de novo applications. And here we can start to gather information on products that are already on the market and maybe similar to ours. We have a wide range of search tools at our disposal, so let's walk through those briefly. De novo number to pull up a specific de novo, product code for known device categories, 510(k) numbers, as older de novos also have a 510(k) number associated. Priority review is a field that does not seem to be currently widely used. Panel for the clinical application area. Device and requester names to search for manufacturers and products by name. Center to specify between devices and biologics. And decision date to search between a specific date range. So let's jump over to neurology devices and pull up an example. Here in our search results, I noticed that one of the devices here is for a portable neuromodulation stimulator. So let me click on that to learn a little bit more. Each granted de novo has a page like this that includes some regulatory information on the device. Notably, the original de novo will be the first product to have ever used this regulation number and product code. The most informative element of this openly available data is the decision summary. So let's go ahead and click through on that to learn more. At the top, we see some of the same info from the previous page, but also a definition of the type of device that will be written into the new regulation. In this case, it's a tongue stimulator, different from our example device, but that's to be expected with de novo. I wonder if some of the information on electrical pulse safety might be relevant to our device, so let's go ahead and read on. Next, we find an indications for use section, and it also includes limitations, warnings, and contraindications as necessary. After that, we'll find the device description, which breaks down each of the key components and functions. Sometimes this includes images of the device or its interface. The next two sections can be very useful if you're unsure of FDA's expectations for testing your own device. The first is a summary of non-clinical or bench studies. This section includes standards, often verified in commercial test labs, software verification and validation, and other critical non-human and non-animal testing that the device underwent. The second section of note is the summary of clinical information. In this particular example, a lot of the information has been redacted as a trade secret, but if we read between there, we can still find some useful information that could help inform our own clinical testing. For example, with the number of patients, we might find in a few areas, the size of the study. Okay, there are two more sections that I'd like to highlight that you'll find in most decision summaries. So let me jump to that here. The first is the special controls. And remember, these are the device-specific criteria that future 510Ks for this device type will need to include. This de novo has 5 examples of special controls, 4 of which pertain to performance testing and 1 of which pertains to labeling. Number 3 states to do bench testing of the electrical stimulation parameters. Again, this is just something that I might keep in mind for our own neurostimulator device. The final section to highlight is the benefit-risk determination. Recall that de novo requires probable benefits to outweigh probable risks, and that balance is discussed within this section. That was just one example of a de novo summary and how to find it. Before I move forward with my own application or my pre-submission meeting with FDA, I would probably review dozens, if not hundreds of these in order to better understand the process and its outcomes. We hope after this brief walkthrough that you can confidently navigate the database and even draft some special controls that may be well suited for the novel device that you are innovating. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.